There are more than 23,000 confirmed cases of coronavirus in Maryland, and more than 1,000 people have died. The good news is there are fewer patients in the hospital and in the ICU, promising information as the governor considers when to reopen the state. WJZ investigator Mike Helgren is following the latest developments.
That's 102 families in our city that are hurt and grieving, and I grieve along with them.
Mayor Young paid tribute to the 102 Baltimoreans who have died from COVID-19 and said there are no current plans to ease restrictions in the city.
All the health experts that I've been listening to have said that it's too early.
Outside City Hall, protesters called for more safeguards for those who are working right now. Maryland reports its largest ever jump in confirmed coronavirus cases. The number of negative tests stands at almost 100,000, up nearly 5,000 from the day before. It shows Maryland has ramped up its testing capacity. Governor Larry Hogan says that's because of new tests he obtained from South Korea. They remain under National Guard protection. Hogan initially feared the federal government would seize them.
This was an enormously valuable payload. It was like Fort Knox to us.
Many of those tests will go to nursing homes. Sage Point Senior Living in La Plata has had the most deaths of any facility. 80-year-old William Goldsmith is among the more than 30 people who have died there.
About an hour after I left him, he passed away. It's not going to bring my father back, but going forward, there needs to be a lot of improvements.
Maryland's only Republican Congressman, Andy Harris, wants the governor to reopen parts of the state. He spoke to Newsmax earlier this week.
Well, the problem is that the governor is treating the state as one homogeneous state, but it's not. It actually has rural areas where the prevalence of the disease is quite low.
The number of poultry plant workers who've contracted COVID-19 in his Eastern Shore district has risen to 279. And Governor Hogan says the CDC is on the ground to stem this outbreak. President Trump will spend the weekend in Maryland at Camp David at what his aides describe as a working trip where he'll speak to heads of state. At Baltimore City Hall, Mike Helgren, WJZ.
Keep an eye out for insurance scams related to coronavirus. That's the warning from Maryland's insurance commissioner. There have been multiple reports of people posing as insurance agents and representatives of a company. They are trying to sell fake health, life, and travel insurance products and will try to get your personal information like bank accounts or credit card numbers. Well, Marylanders are required to wear face masks or coverings when in public places. But if you accidentally forget yours the next time you go to Whole Foods, they have you covered. The grocery store chain is offering free disposable masks to customers nationwide. It's just another step Whole Foods is taking since the COVID-19 pandemic. They've also enhanced cleaning at all locations and opened an hour earlier for elderly customers. Face masks will also soon be required on certain flights. Starting Monday, passengers will be required to wear face masks on Delta and United Airlines. American, along with Southwest, says its requirements will begin on May 11th. JetBlue and Frontier already have similar policies in place. Happening today, the Blue Angels and Thunderbirds are honoring those out on the front lines with a flyover. Stetson Miller introduces us to one of the pilots who will be flying up above.
The Thunderbirds and Blue Angels are putting on an exciting display for Baltimore's healthcare workers, first responders, and other essential workers to thank them for all that they're doing during this difficult time.
This is just our small tribute, maybe put a smile on somebody's face.
Captain Michael Brewer is a pilot with the Thunderbirds who will be soaring over the city starting at 11:30 in the morning.
We've plotted out the major hospitals, especially the ones that have been affected by COVID, and we're going to do a flyby.
The team will start out over Fort McHenry, then fly over the city, Essex, and then BWI before continuing on to Washington and Atlanta.
So it'll be a total of 12 aircraft, and you'll see 2 Delta formations is what we call it.
But no one should gather in crowds to watch the flyover.
Please, from the safety of your own home, remain socially distant.
The mission is the second of several planned to show support for everyone fighting to keep us all safe.
And it's not just us saying thank you, but it's the thousands of other people that are going to look above and see us flying in support to all jointly with one voice say thank you for everything that you are doing.
Stetson Miller for WJZ.
Well, Bethany Beach will remain closed throughout the month of May. The town may reopen the beach on June 1st, But the annual 4th of July celebration has already been canceled. The Delaware Towns Council says it plans to meet in late May or early June to review their conditions and determine if they will replace them with less restrictive measures. Meanwhile, the Maryland Zoo's popular Brew at the Zoo event this summer has been postponed. The zoo says it's making plans to host it in the fall, but they don't know yet any details. We'll let you know as soon as they become available. Well, a second rally protesting Maryland's business closures is scheduled for later today. The group Reopen Maryland demonstrated in Annapolis 2 weeks ago. Most protesters stay inside their vehicles and followed social distancing rules. However, today's protest will begin in Frederick and end in Salisbury. The group wants Governor Hogan to reopen the state so people can return to work. World Central Kitchen will be passing out free food this weekend to help people struggling to get their next meal. The organization has donated as many as 20,000 meals per week during the pandemic. The nonprofit says it will provide food on Saturday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. until further notice. If you plan to pick up food, you can enter through Stadium Lot H. WJZ has everything you need to know about the pandemic. Just go to WJZ.com and look under top stories for a list of resources. Plus, the most important links and numbers are under quick links.